Hello, my name is Roland Waits, and this video does not exist for hits or for money. It's just here to get the information out. On Saturday, July 13th, 2024, in the afternoon, there was an assassination attempt on President Donald John Trump's life. Thankfully, it was not successful, but a wonderful firefighter died and two other people were gravely injured. President Trump himself was injured. He had about 3/4 of a quarter size chunk of his ear blown away. For those of you who want to think that it was set up, if you're looking at President Trump at the podium, here he is, here's the podium. Here's President Trump, and he's sort of gesturing this way at a screen. There's a screen over here that you can't see. But he's wearing his hat, his trademark hat. Directly before he gets shot, right here, when he gets shot, there is a blood mist cloud that comes out the side of his face here on the right hand side. It's very light, but it's there. And that is the cartilage in his ear getting blown to pieces. His ear, as soon as I saw his ear, so here's his ear. Let's just make a representation of a human ear here. As soon as I saw his ear, the first thing I thought of was when Mike Tyson bit Holyfield in the ear. But there is a chunk of his ear missing right here, like this. And it just blew that completely away. And President Trump, in his statement at the RNC, stated that he was amazed at how much blood there was. And the surgeon that talked to him says, man, the ears bleed like crazy. So there's that. But we're going to get into what happened with the sniper. I don't want to train snipers to kill presidents, so I'm not going to say a lot, but I need to say what happened in this specific incident so we can be better informed. And this is my opinion of what went on with this and some concerns I have after the fact. So President Trump was talking at the podium. He turned to look at a screen that was off to his side. It had some statistics about immigration that he was very proud of in his last administration. And he was talking and he gets shot. Okay? Now, what you want to think about, we're going to be thinking about this from the sniper's perspective. This is all about looking at it. You're looking at the president from 140 to 150 yards away off the top of a roof. You've already range found the distance. You've already set your scope up, which indicates a very high level of skill with your firearm. A trained level of skill. Now, who trained that guy? He's a young kid. He's like 20 years old. He's never been in the military as far as I know. But somewhere he... now, you can be a nerd or a geek, a gun nerd or geek, and you can find all this online. You can find this in training manuals. So he could have done it on his own. So there's that. But he knew how to range find and set up his scope. He knew exactly where he was shooting. And I don't think he missed any shot he was aiming to do. President Trump got very blessed. And I'm going to use that word because I believe it was, we actually live in an alternate reality right now, because the reality we were going to live in before President Trump got his gift of life would have been substantially different than the world we live in today. Let me say one more thing. There is no president There's no leader of any country in the world who speaks at a podium that should not be behind bulletproof glass. There just isn't. There should be bulletproof glass in front of the podium. And people should understand you can make it so you can barely see it. You still see the person talking. You see them talking. You know they're talking to you. They speak out of a microphone anyway, and you can see them talking. They can see you. They can react to you. But they're standing behind bulletproof glass. And they're still not putting him behind bulletproof glass. This goes for Joe Biden, too. President Biden, too. You know, for all the hate thrown at Biden, he still represents America. And he's let his own murderers into this country. He's let Hamas and ISIS. He's let elements of the Communist Chinese military in here through that southern border. They're all running around the country. You know, one of the most frightening aspects of having the Communist Chinese in our country is their ability to destroy our infrastructure in one swoop at one night. We have so many vulnerabilities. I don't want to get into discussions. I don't want to identify the targets. But we have a lot of vulnerabilities. And if these places get blown up, it'll take months to fix them. That'll be months without power. And during that time, that's when hostilities will start in other parts of the world. So we have a problem. The presidents have a problem. Joe Biden has a problem. So I really wish that we would get off our asses and put 7-foot tall panes of bulletproof glass in front of those podiums in a semicircle, and then put bulletproof glass behind the president, between them and the crowd. I mean, it's ridiculous. And what does a bulletproof glass do? Well, it won't stop certain calibers of rifle bullets, but it will give you an instant warning if someone is shooting at you. You don't have to wait for what was that. You'll get a star that happens on the glass as the glass sacrifices itself to protect the protectee. So I wish that we would get off our asses, stop living in gamble land, because they're gambling. You know, they're gambling with President Biden's life. They're gambling with President Trump's life. They're gambling with any famous person's life by not putting bulletproof glass in front of the podium in front of a large crowd. I'm not going to get into the specifics of how you can. I don't really want to talk about. Just suffice it to say that it's just stupid to have someone out in the wide open, not protected by bulletproof glass, standing at a podium in front of everybody. It's crazy. So anyway, back to this. All right, so President Trump gets. First off, let's look at this right here. This is the president's head right here. Okay, so when the killer is shooting at the president, he is got his crosshairs on the president's head. Now I've got it adjusted up slightly, depending on what the bullet will do in that distance, it'll drop. So he can, with the bullet travel situation, anywhere in this area, as long as the bullet stays in line, it'll hit him. Depending on whether he was right or left-handed, when he pulled the trigger, he could have pulled the rifle off to one side. He might have been left-handed. I didn't see how he was holding the rifle. But if he was left-handed, that could have played a role in saving President Trump's life too, because when you pull it like this, it all depends on whether, well, if you pull it like this, you see, going like this, maybe he was right-handed. He might have been right-handed. So what he did was he pulled the rifle over. When he pulled the trigger, that affected the travel of bullet. And President Trump was very blessed that he was in a straight line at the moment that the murderer decided to shoot him. But he tipped his head at the last second, and that's when this happened. Right here. And it blew a cloud of mess past the president's head. You can see it in this area right here. Then something happens that I don't think I've ever seen. Well, yeah, I actually have seen it once. And it's actually a woman, I think, who did it. It's a long time ago. In a shooting. The president, now you got to understand, the president has no Secret Service around him. He has a wide berth. The shooter has every chance in the world to murder President Trump. Okay, he's got a wide open field of view. He's sitting 140 yards away on top of a one-man building with a high-powered rifle scoped in. He's range found it. The distance. He's adjusted his scope. He knows where his gun shoots. He's gone to a range, undoubtedly, a rifle shooting range, and he's trained with the rifle. And he's calm and he knows what's going on. Now, I would put one more thing in this situation. For 10 minutes, people were screaming, there's a guy up on the roof. For 10 minutes. And for 10 minutes, this guy kept going. He kept going. And for 10 minutes, nobody did anything about that in law enforcement. Okay? But I think that the longer the people screamed, the more this guy realized, man, I got to hurry this up. I got to get up here because I'm about to get found out. And he was on a suicide mission. He knew it. He knew that the likelihood of him being arrested was probably pretty low. So he wanted to get up to that peak of that roof, get his crosshairs on the president's head and fire off some rounds. But the fact that the people kept screaming and yelling and screaming and yelling and said, hey, there's a guy on the roof, there's a guy on the roof, there's a guy on the roof. That had to play into the guy's psyche because he was not a professional sniper, at least as far as we know. You know, we don't know what his training was before he decided to go up on a roof that was left wonderfully open for him by the Secret Service. And let's be clear, it was the Secret Service who left it open. But let's be clear about this too. The Secret Service is run by an incompetent person who does not care, obviously, about performing the job correctly, but also endangered every Secret Service agent on the podium, by the stage, by the podium that day. Endangered all of them. Because bullets don't have an address. They don't know where they're going. They just fly out there and they kill children, they kill mothers, they kill, in Chicago, they kill 100 people in a night, in a weekend, and nobody does anything. They don't do anything. I've never seen anything like that in my life. But anyway, getting back to this video. So President Trump gets shot in the head. Now, you got to understand that the sniper is looking through his scope. So all he sees is this. All the sniper sees is this right here, right here. That's all he sees, okay? So he shoots, the scope goes over here like this. The scope goes over here like this. When he shoots, he sees this big blood cloud through the scope. He says, man, I got it. I shot him. I got it. Well, President Trump tips his head to the side, okay? Like this. And this now, this is what the sniper sees. He sees a clear field of view, okay? What happens next is amazing. And if you wanted to be religious about it, you could say If you want to be religious about it, you could say an angel put his hands on the president's body and pushed him down to the floor. You could say that. But I'm going to tell you different. When President Trump got shot in his ear, and he put his hand up to his ear and he saw the blood, he knew exactly what was going on. And he's a very logical man. And he's a very smart man. Well, there's another part of this. It's an automatic reflex body process that takes over. If you don't overwhelm it with adrenaline and you don't interfere with it. When he got shot, okay, first off, there's nowhere he can go this way to escape. His logical mind already knows that. He's stuck at the podium. He's stuck at the podium. But this podium provides protection from this side, okay? So his logical mind already knows that. That's the only protection President Trump has in this scenario. He has no Secret Service protection. He's out in the wide open. He has no bulletproof shields around him. There's no protection for the president. He has him and the podium and God. Some would say God came through. You know? Anyway, he gets shot, and he's already leaning over. He's already got his head leaning over. And what he does is just brilliant. He smears his side down that podium like this, slowly. And then he gets down on the ground. And what I call it, he's actually facing this way. I put him down like that so you could see what his crouch. It is the exact duplication of a Muslim prayer crouch. And don't get all up in your Christian feelings when I say that. It's a beautiful testament to the Muslims that they pray to Allah, which is their version of God. But it's a prayer crouch is what he's in. And bullets are flying all around him. Now, when he gets in that crouch, the Secret Service, they run around and they cover his body. Now, they're all covered in black, okay? So, that all happens. He gets shot. He bends over. He almost melts down the podium. What the shooter was thinking, what I believe the shooter was thinking was, when he lost sight of the president here, his first response was to go like this. Take the scope down. He didn't see anything. He's like, where the hell did Trump go? Now, listen, time is ticking by. He's living at a rate of time that is in tenths of seconds. He's making decisions in tenths of seconds. Okay? So he doesn't see Trump down here because Trump has actually melted himself down that podium and got on the floor straight like this. He's out this way. So he does a cursory scan down here and then he goes over this way. Because what he assumes is the president got shot and then he went this way. Okay? He would have never thought the president would have had the state of mind to stand where he was at and melt himself straight down. Okay? So what happens is the sniper starts looking over here in the crowd. He starts scanning and he's still shooting. He's shooting at anybody who's moving. Because what he's assuming is that the president is over here prone like this. He's over here prone like this. And when he sees the firefighter jump over and try to protect his family like this, he's assuming that he's protecting the president. He sees a head. He sees a head in his field of fire. He assumes that the firefighter has his head down. And what he's looking at is actually this right here. The president's head unprotected by the body. He takes one of his last shots and he unfortunately murders the firefighter, thinking that the firefighter's head is President Trump's head that the firefighter's protecting. So, I'm going to butcher his name, and I hate that. Comparatori gave his life for President Trump. And Mr. Comparatori was trying to protect his wife and his daughters from this sicko. So that's pretty much what I got for you here. I don't want to get too much into this because I don't want to train people to kill our presidents. There should be bulletproof glass around those podiums. There just should be. Okay? Now there are problems with, when you if you have a podium here, okay, you have a crowd here. This is, let's say this is the crowd. This is the stage. And this is the bleachers. And these have people in them too. Well, what you do is you put your 7-foot bulletproof glass like this, around here like this. And then you put panes of bulletproof glass like this. Now what does this do? Then you put a Secret Service agent here and you put a Secret Service agent here. So they can reach in to the president like this. And they can pull him wherever they want to pull him. Now, the problem with this is, it creates an access problem. I don't want to train people about things. But this is way better than having him out there in the wide open. And I'm talking about Joe Biden too. Because Hamas and ISIS want to kill you too. Okay? Because you're not their buddy. Even though you might think you are. You might think you are. President Biden and the Democrats. But you're just as much the great Satan as the conservatives that you hate, supposedly. We're all in America together. We're all the enemy of ISIS and Hamas. And the people who are protesting on American colleges, who are Americans, who are supporting Hamas, will be the first people that they murder. Hamas will murder those people gladly and laugh. So it's an interesting time to live in America. In any case, there should be some protection around the president every time he goes out in public. There should be huge, almost grizzly bear-sized men around the president every time he goes out in a new crowd. He should have to reach around his agents to shake hands with the public. So anyway, we're going to move away from this. So we've seen this amazing process here. I did want to get back in. Let me get back into this real quick. So when he gets shot, his brain goes into automatic life-saving mode because he's out in the wide open. And what you're about to see is the process called getting small. It's called getting small. And this happens when you're around predators. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's called disappearing in plain sight. And what you do is you move slow, deliberate, and you lower your profile to as low as you can do it, as low as you can get. This is a lot of what happens in battlefields when they start hearing mortars coming over and stuff like that. They get as low as they can to the ground as quickly and safely as possible. Okay? And that's what he did. Well, your brain, this is a natural body phenomenon that your brain knows how to do. So he gets shot here, and so this is a no-go. This right here is a no-go, okay? This is a no-go. He can't go this way. He's got to stay at the podium to get that protection of the podium. The body knows that this is safe. Right here. He knows that, his body knows that this is now a no zone. That is a no zone. No zone, no zone, no zone. The only way he can go to stay in safety, his body knows is straight down. Okay? Now, a person that was not able to control their panic would have immediately tried to either run this way towards the bullets or turned around. If he'd have turned around like this, he'd have presented a perfect shot to the back of his head. If he'd have gone out this way and dived into the crowd, he'd have died there too. Because that's exactly what the sniper was thinking. That he was going to dive into the crowd, and then, unfortunately, somebody else was going to die. And somebody else did die, protecting his wife and his kids, because he loved them so much. But this is an amazing body process that goes on sometimes. If you ever get to see it, you'll be astonished by it. It's called Getting Small. It is a verified body procedure involving presenting the least threatening interface with the environment and getting your exposure to a minimum. And that is a genuine body process. And President Trump did that perfectly. It almost looks like, if you wanted to be religious about it, you could say that an angel, first off, an angel tipped his head to the side. And second off, the same angel put his hand on his shoulder and said, Donald, you need to get down on the floor right now. Get on the floor right now. Just get on the floor, listen to me, get on the floor. And he did. And he survived. So that's that amazing, awful mess. You know, where is the bulletproof shields? Shields. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know, there was a time when that was the standard. There was a time when that was the standard, when crazy people was running around America and they were shooting people left and right. And politicians went in front of podiums. They wouldn't go in front of a podium without a bulletproof shield in front of it. So, all right, so let's go to phase 2 of this little happy little ass operation. Let me put a little bit more light on this. There we go. All right, so we all know that roof was left open. We all know it. It was left open as a gift to the shooter. We know that. By a person who ran the Secret Service, who did not care about doing the job right and did not care about her agents. And let's be clear, every one of those Secret Service agents could have been murdered that day. That guy could have just said, screw shooting the president, I'm going to shoot Secret Service agents, and just start peppering everybody in a Agent Smith suit. You know, you folks need to understand this. Everybody that was there that day was a target. Everybody. Now, President Trump was the primary target. But trying to incite as much of a calamity as possible is also a secondary thing. This will happen again. This will happen again. We will have another attempt on President Trump's life. You can guarantee it. Everybody's talking about it, and they know it. The scary part is you let Hamas and ISIS in, and Hamas and ISIS have blown up entire buildings full of their own people so that they can blame Israel for bombing the building. They've done it. They have no qualms about killing 1,000 people to make a point. So every place you go that you give advance notice that you're going is a target. And there won't be no bulletproof glass that saves you from what they can do. And Joe Biden is one of their targets. They have no love for him. Okay? So anyway, the roof was left open as a gift to the shooter. Okay? It just was. That was a gift. How in the world did he know that roof was going to be left open? There had to be somebody that told him. You know? Somebody had to say, look, this is our perimeter. That building's outside of the perimeter. You can scope that. How in the hell would you know that? All right, the shooter was using encrypted communications. That is a very bad sign. A very bad sign. Because that means he was talking to somebody else. Who would he be talking to? Maybe somebody in the crowd who was looking at the president. And this would actually explain why the shooter didn't get a second shot on President Trump, because the person who was communicating with the shooter was out here in the crowd, looking up this way. And the president went down the podium and got on the ground. And he would have been talking as a... You need to know that military snipers use a sniper, primary rifleman, and a spotter. And if his spotter was in that crowd, when the president went down in front of the podium, the spotter lost sight of where President Trump was. And he must have been yelling in his communications to the shooter, "I can't see him, I can't see him." He must have gone into the crowd. He must have gone into the crowd. And that's when we get this. Okay? Shooter was using encrypted communications. He had a rangefinder. He was seen with a rangefinder an hour before this happened. Who in the hell brings a rangefinder to a political event? Well, here you go. I'll give you one instance where a rangefinder makes sense. If I'm a professional photographer and I'm using professional equipment to set my stops and stuff, my ranges on my telephoto lenses, I might use a rangefinder. But look, I've got to have credentials. You know, I've got to have equipment. I've got to have cameras and all kinds of crap. I don't like cameras much at presidential events, especially cameras with long lenses, because you can hide a firearm in that real easy. You know, you can be sitting there with a telephoto lens. If you got a guy who's, you know, within 50 feet of the president, he's using an f-stop telephoto lens where he can see the boogers coming out of his nose, there's a good chance that he's got a barrel in the middle of that telephoto lens, you know, because nobody needs something that big to look at the president from that range. In any case, rangefinder, what type? What type was it? What type of rangefinder was it? Was it a commercial one that we could buy out here, or was it one that, it just might have happened to have been used by the federal government in their procedures and training? Now, even if it's identical to what the government uses, that doesn't necessarily mean that anybody from the government has something to do with this, because you could probably go online and rangefinder companies and people who do business with the government brag about what they do for the government, you know, because this, you know, that's how they sell their products. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he was working for the government. Okay, user was wearing a Gun YouTubers merch shirt. This is really, really, really disturbing, because this shows advanced training of a different kind. A statement of a different type was about to get made. It needs to be said that the gun YouTuber in question has never advocated violence against anybody. He's always been a very fine advocate of common sense, rational, safe use of firearms, and the practice of the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. He's always been a good American, this YouTuber. But somehow this guy's wearing a Gun YouTuber's merch shirt. It's a very strange choice to go up here. And what it is it's an attempt to smear all YouTubers and all Second Amendment people with this act. That's what it is. He knew what he was going to do. He knew how people would react. And when they saw that shirt, they said, aha, look, it's you conservatives who did this. Well, blame conservative gun tubers and censor all conservative views. That's actually going on right now on this site. I don't even know if this video is going to play. I would not be surprised if it doesn't. But that's going on right now. Now, you can't show yourself on your private range shooting targets and, you know, having fun and seeing how the guns function and inviting friends. You can't practice the Second Amendment of the United States on the internet. But you can show mass murder on an incredible scale in tens of thousands of ultra-violent Hollywood movies. You can promote violence and mass murder in movies. But to have firearms safely and to use them safely and to teach people that guns are not some kind of boogeyman, they're just a tool, and if you use them safe, you have nothing to worry about. That is illegal. So, the user was using an AR-type rifle. Confiscate all semi-automatic rifles nationwide. Now we're going to get into the conspiracy part of this video. What were they going after? So let's assume the sniper was successful. Okay? Let's assume that he was successful, that he murdered President Trump. Immediately there would be a groundswell of protest from half of the country. Okay? Was the rangefinder the key to the guy law enforcement was never supposed to stop? Okay? Having a rangefinder at a political event is very strange. And it almost seems to me like that rangefinder was a kind of a get out of jail free card for that guy, because everybody who saw that didn't do a damn thing about it. They didn't do a damn thing about it. That's very strange. As though somebody had sent a memo. It says if you see a guy with a rangefinder, he's one of ours, don't stop him. Okay? So was the rangefinder the key to the guy law enforcement was never supposed to stop? You know, maybe. All right. YouTuber merch bought with government credit card. Rifle provided from government stock or bought with government credit card. Where was the shooter and who did he talk to in the weeks before the shooting? We need to see all the receipts on everything this guy bought. Now they can falsify them. We need to see where it was bought, when it was bought, and what he bought it with. What credit card number he bought it with, what bank it was at. We need to see all that. Now I don't want to hear no shit about how, well, we can't get that information. Oh yeah, you can. You can get the poo results from when President Trump takes a dump. You know? There's nothing you can't get. We have no privacy now, so don't tell me you can't get that information. We need to know where the hell the money came from to buy this guy's equipment. Okay? Needs to be told in the public. Don't need to see no big black, don't give us a report, a 50-page report that looks like a black piece of paper with all the omissions out of it. All right. We're going to go through this one time. I'm just going to hit this one time real quick because this might have been what they were after. Trump gets murdered. Conservatives go to D.C. to protest peacefully. Antifa troops mass murder conservatives while dressed as conservatives. They have an organized system right now. They have already said, something you need to understand about these leftists is they talk in projection. If they accuse you of something, it's usually likely they're doing it because they want to accuse you of it, so when it happens they can say, oh look, what I said was true, when in fact it's their own people doing it. There has been numerous discussions about camps in the mountains where people are getting trained from these leftists. So once you get a protest in Washington, D.C., once you get a protest in Texas, once you get a protest in New York, once you get a protest in California, And in all those protests, Antifa comes in and they mass murder conservatives, dressed as conservatives. Then Biden declares a nationwide state of emergency. He delays the 2024 election. He passes emergency legislation from that emergency decree to confiscate all semi-auto rifles and all handguns. Because, you know, you have to be made safe. Okay? That's going to be a big problem because there are millions of Americans who are not going to turn their firearms over. Thousands of Americans are murdered as they refuse to surrender their firearms. I would say tens of thousands of Americans. And it turns into a great big mess as the Biden administration tries to crush all dissent in the United States. Now, you could say that'll never happen. But look, it's happened. It's happened in every communist country in the world. And these people who run our government right now are acting like communists. So, this was a watershed moment in American history. And thanks to President Trump's amazing reaction, and thanks to the shooter losing President Trump in his scope, and potentially thanks to the spotter not saying where President Trump was. And then later on, thank you to the Secret Service for jumping on the president. This didn't happen. But we live in an alternate reality right now because what President Trump said at the RNC, he said, I'm not supposed to be here. And he meant it. And he's right. He's not supposed to be here. So, I've explained how it could be just a happy confluence of mistakes by the shooter, how President Trump own body responses protected himself from getting shot again. And I've given you some questions to ask to your representatives. You know, I want to know everything about this guy. I want to know everything about, because, you know, when you kill somebody, you turn that person off as an information source. It would have been nice, although I'm glad they shot him. I'm glad they killed him. They didn't really have a choice in the position that he was in. It would have been nice if the two police officers who went up the ladder and the one faced a rifle, it would have been nice if they could have got the warning out. But bottom line, this was a mess. And at the very least, it was caused by someone running the Secret Service who didn't care about her own agents, didn't care about the president, and didn't care about doing the job with the bare minimum of professionalism. That's at the very least of this. At the worst case of this, you can go where you know where you go. So, anyway, I'm glad President Trump is alive. I just can't believe they don't have bulletproof shields in front of the man. I mean, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of terrorists running around the country thanks to the Biden administration. And those people aren't going to just kill President Trump. They're going to try to kill President Biden too. So, anyway, just be safe. I myself will not be going to any rallies. I will not be volunteering my body to be shot at. Please go vote in the election. Please go vote and vote your conscience. If you want to vote for Biden, vote for Biden. If you want to vote for Trump, vote for Trump. But go out and vote, okay? Please stay safe. Be careful what you do out in public and what you post on the internet, because everything on the internet can be traced and tracked. Don't ever think it can't. And don't let your emotions unload your mouth on your keyboard and make you say things that you wouldn't stand in front of a judge and repeat why you said them. Okay? We have some very troubling times in America now, but hopefully we're going to get through it. One thing I would like to say about President Trump. He is someone who deeply loves the American Constitution and the American people. But should they successfully murder President Trump the next time, there are about 15 more people down the line that can step into his place and continue the battle against those who would enslave the American people. And they don't want to do it. They want President Trump to be the person to do it, but if they have to, they will. So perhaps that's the best protection that President Trump has. Hopefully, I saw those wonderful Secret Service agents when they escorted him after the shooting into the RNC. And man, I was never so happy to see 6'5" football players in my life. Man, you big dudes with the suits and the glasses on, man, you rock. I'm just telling you. And you know you're putting your body on the line, and you deserve to be respected for that, and you deserve a leader at your agency that gives you every chance to survive that. Nobody needs to be shot. Not President Biden, not President Trump. I don't give a shit who you are. That's not how we do things in America, people. Come on now. Let's not go back to the 60s. Let's not do that. Let's not go back to the early 70s. Let's not do that. We're in 2024 heading into 2025. Let's work together and solve our differences peacefully, okay? Be safe out there, okay? Thank you for watching the video. God bless you. God bless President Trump and President Biden. And God bless America. Thank you for watching the video.